I think a bully probably is an aggressive, even violent form of the jerks we've been talking about for the last few weeks. Remember, a jerk is someone that looks down on other people, feels they're in the right, everybody else is wrong, feels they know it all, everybody else is ignorant. They have a right to be on top, superior. They think they deserve everyone serving them, bowing down to them, catering to them. They believe they have a right for the world to revolve around them, and everybody should be the planets revolving around them, their sun. Goliath may in fact be the epitome of jerkitude. You remember that article that I read that kind of got this series started, The Essence of Jerkitude. And we've been looking at jerks in the Bible, not to judge them or point fingers at them. We've been looking at them to see if we see any of ourselves in them. Is there anything of the jerk in us and the way we look at other people and react to other people and treat other people? Do we find ourselves criticizing, judging, looking down on, putting ourselves higher up on the social food chain, as it were? What makes a jerk or a bully the way they are? Of all things, scientists have actually studied why some people become that way. They point out that in our brains we have mirror systems. They say a mirror system collects feelings, emotions, sensations from our various human experiences. They use the example of squeezing a ball. When we squeeze a rubber ball, we have a certain feeling or sensation. Now, in our brain, that creates a mirror system that when someone else is squeezing the ball, our mirror system recognizes what they're doing, and we have the same sensation, the same feeling as when we did it, even though they're doing it. That ability for our mirrors to identify our own experience in another's experience and have the feeling that goes along with that, the scientists say, is the origin, the source of empathy. And part of their research is to prove that when persons are given and use power over a period of time, that power, as it were, we say, kind of goes to their head. Literally, the scientists say that's what happens. The power goes to their head, and their mirror kind of gets clouded. Their mirror can no longer identify what's going on with someone else and resonate in such a way as to have that same feeling or experience. And so when that mirror system stops working, so does the empathy. There was a Jewish theologian named Martin Buber who described what happens this way. He says, when we identify with another human being as a fellow human being, we see them as a thou Thou, the Old English, a you. When we stop seeing another person as a thou and start seeing them as an it, we objectify them and they become something that we then feel we can use to our own advantage or manipulate or treat any way we want to, because that's what we do with things, but not the way we treat people. You've heard the expression, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Scientists have proven why that happens. The more absolute our power, the less there is an identification with other people as people like us, so that we care about their feelings as though they are our own. I have heard intercessory prayer. You praying for me, my praying for you. Intercessory prayer is my praying for your need as though it were my need. You see that identification? Think about probably one of the most familiar and beloved parables, the parable of the Good Samaritan. It's a sad commentary on religion. But religion can give us a kind of power, depending on what kind of religion it is, that clouds our mirrors, that desensitizes us to other people as fellow human beings. And so they shift from being thous to being its. The two religious folk who passed by on the other side had a disconnect. Their mirror system had stopped working. They saw the man who had been beaten and left for dead, and they didn't see the man beaten and left for dead as a fellow human being in need of assistance. But the Samaritan, the Bible tells us what? Felt pity, felt compassion, had mercy. There was that identification. His mirror system resonated with the man's plight, and he stopped to help someone whom he would have wanted to stop for him in the same situation. Now, those writing this particular article, kind of acting like the research wasn't all in yet, said theoretically, powerful people who have become desensitized, whose mirror systems have stopped working, can revert back, I would call it, to the image of God we've been created in. That image of God that allows us to feel and be sensitive to one another's pain and suffering. Take away their power, return them to a kind of normal powerlessness that most human beings live in most of the time. And that experience can change their brain in such a way that they can feel again. They can empathize again. I really think that's the function of the church, isn't it? The church is the setting, the context for our relating to each other in a way that our mirror systems, call it our heart in Christian language. We talk about a hard heart, a cold heart, a warm heart, John Wesley called it, our heart. We live together in such a way as to fulfill that image in us that allows for our empathy, our empathic capability. Okay, question. Probably the question for those of us who follow Jesus. What do we do? How do we respond to the bullies? We're bullied. If they won't go out for an ice cream cone with us, if they are intent on causing us harm, what do we do with the bullies? That cross boundaries of national sovereignty in order to control and oppress other people, or literally execute genocide on other people, or use religion as justification for killing and murder and beheading other people. How do we respond? What do we do? Well, I didn't read the whole story of David and Goliath, but I'm going to let you read it. The scripture passage is listed in your order of worship. Do you know the rest of the story? You know how the story ends? It ends in a way that says what we've experienced the last couple of weeks with the journalist Foley has been going on since the time of David. How do we stop the bully? I don't know. I know we need to protect. I know we need to. I know we have to stop. I think we do what we have to do, realizing sometimes that this isn't Jesus' dream. This isn't the way Jesus would have it. This isn't the way of love, or it's a compromise of the way of love. Sometimes we have, it seems, to stand up to the bully and stop the bully, because that's the worst, or that's the best of all of our worst options. But we do it joining God's heart, grieving over God's children treating each other this way, rather than the way God intended us to do it. I don't know how to stop bullies. One of the reasons I'm a pastor of a church, and one of the reasons I believe you're here as part of the church, is so we can nurture empathy in each other, so that we can be leaven in the loaf of humanity, so that we can treat each other with compassion, with pity. I want to end the sermon with this video.